They hadn't even lowered the casket yet. I need you to sit with that. The ground was still open. The flowers were still fresh. My husband's body, Damon, 31 years old, gone in 11 seconds because a driver ran a light, was still being described by the pastor in the present tense of a man who had just been alive. And my mother-in-law Gloria stood up from her chair, crossed the 8 feet between us, and said, loud enough for the third row to hear, "You need to leave this service." My name is Camille. I was 28 years old. I was 5 months pregnant. And my hands were shaking so hard that the folded program I was holding made a sound like something trying to get out. "Gloria," I said. "Low. Measured." Damon had taught me that. Stay low, stay measured. She respects control. "This is my husband's funeral. Damon was my son before he was your husband," she said. "And we know what you did." The third row leaned in. What I did. I had been rolling that sentence around for 11 days, since the accident, since the hospital, since the specific 47 minutes I sat in that waiting room before the doctor walked toward me with the face doctors use when the news has already happened. What I did was love Damon for 5 years, marry him in year 3, and spend years 4 and 5 trying to give him the family he had been drawing in the margins of notebooks since he was a teenager. The baby was the plan. Our plan. His plan that he talked about at 2 in the morning when he thought I was asleep. Now Gloria was telling me I needed to leave. The pastor had stopped. The entire gathering, 94 people by the program count, was watching. I stood up. Not because she was right. Because Damon was in that casket, and I was not going to let his last public moment be a scene his mother created, and I was trying to be the thing he married me for being. "I'll be at the graveside," I said to the pastor. I walked out. 5 months pregnant. Alone. In a black dress Damon had helped me zip 2 Christmases ago. I walked out. And I did not know yet what was coming. She changed the locks while I was at the hospital getting the baby checked. The doctor had told me at the funeral, or rather, she had gotten to the doctor somehow. This is the part one still cannot fully account for, that stress at this level during the 2nd trimester required monitoring. So I had gone. 1 hour. Maybe 90 minutes. I had gone to make sure Damon's child was okay. When I came back, my key did not turn. The house was in Damon's name. We had been living there for 2 years. My clothes were in the closet. My grandmother's quilt was on the bed. My key did not turn. I knocked. Damon's brother Marcus opened the door. He was 26 and had always been the quiet one, the one who sat at the end of the family table and watched. He looked at me and he looked at the ground and he said, "Mama said you can't come in." "Marcus," I said. "My things are in there." "She said she'll have your things boxed." "Marcus." I put my hand on the doorframe. "I am 5 months pregnant with your brother's baby. I have nowhere to go tonight. Tell me where your mother wants me to sleep." He didn't answer. Not from cruelty. I could see it wasn't cruelty. It was the specific paralysis of a young man who is caught between 2 forces that are both larger than him and who has chosen, in the absence of courage, to be still. "Tell her I said the estate attorney will hear about this by morning," I said. I don't know why I said it. I hadn't called an attorney. I didn't have one. I had $47 in my wallet and a phone at 62% battery and the specific hollow quality of a woman who has been awake for 11 days in the aftermath of the worst thing that has ever happened to her. But something in the sentence made Marcus look up. He closed the door. I sat on the porch steps. I called my sister Renata. She was 2 cities away. She answered before it rang twice. I said, "I need you." She said, "I'm already getting my keys." Renata arrived at 1:47 a.m., and we sat in her car in the driveway of the house I could not enter, and she held my hand and did not say anything unnecessary for approximately 12 minutes, and then she said, "What do you know about Damon's finances?" "I know what we had together," I said. "Joint account. Savings. He had a life insurance policy from work. He showed it to me when we found out about the baby. He said it was the first responsible thing he'd done in his 20s. "How much?" she said. 500,000, I said. Renata was quiet. "And the house," she said. "His name," I said. We talked about adding mine. We were going to do it after the baby. "Did he have a will?" she said. I sat with this. Damon had mentioned a will. He had mentioned it in the way that 31-year-olds mention wills in the abstract, as a thing responsible adults do, with the specific casualness of someone who does not actually believe the will is going to be needed for approximately 40 years. I don't know, I said. Renata pulled out her phone. We're calling someone in the morning, she said. I don't have money for an attorney, I said. Camille. She looked at me. You are 5 months pregnant. Your mother-in-law locked you out of your marital home on the day of your husband's funeral, and your unborn child may be the beneficiary of a $500,000 life insurance policy. You have everything an attorney needs to take this case. I looked at the house. The bedroom light was on. Someone was moving around in there. My grandmother's quilt was on that bed. She knows about the insurance, I said. Say that again, Renata said. That's why she moved so fast, I said. She knows about the policy. She knows about the house. She's been planning this since before he was cold. The bedroom light went off. The house went dark. I had grown up without much. But I had never been made to sit outside a house in a car in the dark while someone slept in my bed. I looked at my sister. What do I do? I said. We win, she said. His name was Bernard Cole. He was 53 years old, African American, and he had the particular quality of an attorney who has spent 25 years watching families eat each other in the specific aftermath of grief and who has developed, in response, the particular focused patience of someone who is no longer surprised by anything but who remains, despite the unsurprise, entirely on the side of the person sitting across from him. He reviewed what I had in 45 minutes. The marriage certificate. The joint account statements. The copy of Damon's employment benefits package, which I had because Damon had left his open enrollment paperwork on the kitchen counter 6 months ago, and I had filed it, the way I filed everything, in the folder in the kitchen drawer labeled important. Bernard looked at the benefits package. He looked at it for a long time. Then he said, "Who is the named beneficiary on this policy?" Me, I said. He updated it when we got married. I watched him do it. Do you have documentation of the update? He said. The HR letter is in the folder, I said. The one confirming the beneficiary change. He looked at the letter. He set it down. Camille, he said. Yes, I said. Your mother-in-law cannot contest this policy, he said. You are the named beneficiary. The policy is yours. The insurance company processes directly to you. She has no legal standing to intercept it. She's going to try, I said. Let her try, he said. What about the house? I said. He was quiet for a moment. Without a will, the estate goes through probate, he said. As Damon's spouse, you have a legal right to the marital home. The child you are carrying, once born, has additional inheritance rights. Your mother-in-law's name is not on the deed. She changed the locks on a property she does not legally control. She has resources, I said. She has connections. She has a grieving mother's anger, he said. Which is real and which I understand. But anger does not change deeds. He looked at me. I want to take this case. Not on retainer, on contingency. I believe in what the documents say. I sat across from Bernard Cole. I thought about Damon's handwriting on the open enrollment form. He had spelled my name correctly. He always spelled my name correctly. The source came from Marcus. He called me on a Wednesday, 6 days after the funeral, 3 days after Bernard had sent the first letter, and he said, Camille, I need to tell you something, and I need you to know I'm not calling with my mother's knowledge. I'm listening, I said. She hired someone, he said. After Damon died. Before the funeral. Like, within 48 hours. Hired someone for what? I said. An attorney, he said. And a private investigator. I sat down. What was the investigator for? I said. She thinks he stopped. He started again. She has convinced herself that the baby isn't Damon's. The room was very still. Marcus, I said. I know, he said. This is Damon's baby, I said. I know that, he said. Camille, I've known you for 5 years. I know who you are. She is building a case, I said. She wants to contest the insurance policy, he said. Her attorney told her she can't, so she's building an alternative case. That the marriage was fraudulent, that you manipulated Damon, that the baby's paternity is in question. She's going to use all of it to try to slow the estate process long enough for what? I said. Silence. Marcus, I said. There was money, he said. In an account I didn't know about. A joint account between Damon and my mother from before your marriage. She says there's 200,000 in it that she says Damon wanted her to have. I stood up. That account was closed, I said. I saw the closing statement. Damon showed me. She says she has a statement showing it's still active, he said. I walked to the kitchen drawer. The important folder. I opened it. The account closing statement was there. Dated 14 months ago. With Damon's signature. Tell me her attorney's name, I said. He told me. I called Bernard within 4 minutes. He listened to everything. When I finished, he said, she has a fabricated document or an old statement she's misrepresenting. Can we prove it? I said. The closing statement in your hand proves it, he said. We file first thing tomorrow. Bernard, I said. Yes, he said. She's going to say the baby isn't Damon's, I said. Yes, he said. And when the baby is born, we'll have a DNA test that ends that conversation permanently. Gloria's attorney was a man named Prescott. He was the particular kind of attorney that money produces when grief and wealth combine without conscience, precise, cold, and willing to say anything once it has been framed in the appropriate legal language. He deposed me at 7 months. I sat across from him with Bernard beside me, and I answered every question with the specific calm of a woman who has spent 2 months understanding that her composure is itself a document. Prescott asked about my relationship history before Damon. Bernard objected. Prescott asked about my employment history. I answered. Prescott asked about the joint account. I said, which one? The one that was closed 14 months ago and whose closing statement I have in my possession? Or a different one? Prescott's pen stopped moving. He looked at me. Mrs. Henderson, he said. Yes, I said. Are you claiming the account was closed? I'm not claiming anything, I said. I'm stating that the account was closed on the date reflected on the closing statement bearing my husband's signature, a copy of which my attorney has already entered into the record. Bernard had entered it that morning. Prescott looked at his file. Something moved in his face. Not defeat, the specific recalibration of an attorney who has discovered that the document he was building toward does not exist in the form he was told it existed. We'll take a break, he said. In the hallway, Bernard touched my arm. You did well, he said. He didn't know about the closing statement, I said. No, Bernard said. Which means Gloria didn't tell him. Which means either she didn't know, or she knew and withheld it from her own attorney. Which one is worse for her? I said. Both are bad, he said. One is incompetence. The other is fraud. I walked back toward the deposition room. My hands were on my stomach. 7 months. The baby moved, the specific rolling movement I had learned to read as settling. I know, I said quietly. To her. Because by then I knew it was a girl. Damon had wanted a girl. He had told me at 2 a.m. when he thought I was sleeping. I had never told him I heard. I was going to tell her instead. My daughter was born on a Thursday at 4:22 a.m. I had been in labor for 11 hours. Renata was beside me. Bernard had been informed. He had asked me to call him when it happened, not from anything dramatic, but because he had said the moment of the birth was likely to be the moment Gloria moved, and he wanted to be reachable. He had been correct. My daughter was 47 minutes old. She was on my chest. She had Damon's forehead. Damon's specific forehead, the one I had kissed approximately 10,000 times. She had it completely. It was so precise it was almost unbearable. The nurse came in. She said, there are 2 people in the lobby. A woman and a man in a suit. The man says he's an attorney. They're asking to be admitted. Renata looked at me. I looked at my daughter. Call Bernard, I said. Already texting, Renata said. Tell them, I said to the nurse, that visiting hours for this room are by patient approval only, and that I have not approved any visitors at this time. The nurse nodded. She left. Renata read from her phone. Bernard says, do not let them in the room. Do not accept any documents. Do not sign anything. He'll be there in 20 minutes. I held my daughter. Outside in the lobby, Gloria was standing with a lawyer at 4:59 a.m. on the morning of her granddaughter's birth. I had been awake for 22 hours. I had given birth alone in the sense that mattered, without the person who should have been there. And the woman who had called me what she called me in front of 94 people and changed the locks on my marital home was now in the lobby of my hospital with an attorney and a claim. My daughter made a sound. Not crying. The specific small sound of a new person testing the air. I know, I said to her again. The door to the room stayed closed. Bernard arrived in 18 minutes. He walked in with the specific composed authority of a man who has done this before and who is entirely ready. What are they claiming? I said. He sat. She's attempting to establish guardianship rights over the child, he said. I looked at him. On what basis? I said. On the basis, he said, that she is filing a paternity challenge that, if successful, would mean the child has no legal father, leaving the maternal grandmother with a claim to shared guardianship. She's trying to take my baby, I said. She's trying, Bernard said. The test took 11 days. 11 days during which I lived in the specific suspended quality of someone who knows what the result is going to be and who is nonetheless in the position of having to wait for an institution to confirm what she knows. Gloria's attorney had filed the paternity challenge. Bernard had countered. The judge, a woman of about 60 who had the particular settled efficiency of someone who has seen every variety of family litigation and who does not confuse urgency with merit, had ordered a court-administered DNA test. Bernard had said, good. I had said, why good? He had said, because a court-ordered test is conducted by a lab the court trusts and the results are entered directly into the record. She can't challenge the process. The test was administered. We waited. During those 11 days, Gloria called twice. Not me, Renata. She called Renata and she said, the first time, that she was sorry for how things had gone and that she just wanted to be part of her grandchild's life. Renata told me. I said, what did you say to her? Renata said, I said that the legal process would determine what role anyone played and that she should communicate through her attorney. The second call was different. The second call was not Gloria. It was Marcus. He said, she's sick, Camille. I said, what do you mean? She's been sick since before Damon died, he said. She has a cardiac condition. She's been managing it for 2 years without telling anyone. I think she was afraid of being alone. I think she was afraid of losing Damon and losing access to whatever came after Damon. I sat with this for a long time. That doesn't make what she did acceptable, I said. No, he said. It doesn't. But it makes it human, I said. Yes, he said. I looked at my daughter. 46% Damon. Quantifiably. The results came in on a Tuesday. Bernard called at 9 a.m. He said, 99.97% probability of paternity. Yes, I said. Prescott's office received the results 20 minutes ago, he said. What happens now? I said. Now, he said, she has no case. I put the phone down. I picked up my daughter. Your daddy was your daddy, I said to her. Like she had ever been in any doubt. Gloria came alone. Not with Prescott. Not with Marcus. Alone. She came to my apartment, the apartment I had moved into with Renata's help after Bernard had secured my right to re-enter the marital home long enough to retrieve my belongings. A process I had chosen to use to take only what was truly mine and to leave the house itself for the probate process rather than to live in the space where every room held 11 days of what had happened after Damon died. She knocked. I answered. She stood in the doorway. She was 64 years old, and she looked smaller than she had looked at the funeral. Not smaller in stature, smaller in the specific way of someone whose certainty has left her and who is standing in the particular space that certainty's absence produces. She looked at the baby in my arms. The baby looked at her. She has his forehead, Gloria said. Yes, I said. Gloria's face did the thing. I will not pretend I did not notice it. She had organized herself against grief and against me and against whatever version of the future she had been trying to control, and now she was standing in a doorway looking at the specific forehead of a child who was made of her son, and the evidence of it was complete. She said, I was wrong. Not a long sentence. Not an elaborate sentence. 2 words that cost everything a woman like Gloria has. I know you were, I said. I was afraid, she said. And I turned it into what I did to you. I looked at my daughter. I thought about Damon at 2 a.m. I thought about what he would want. Her name is Diane, I said. Gloria's breath caught. Diane. A name I had chosen not from tradition but from the specific two-syllable compression of the name I was not ready to hear out loud yet, not Damon, but close. Close enough to carry it. That's, Gloria started. I know, I said. I stepped back from the door. You can come in, I said. For 20 minutes. Because she is going to need to know her grandmother. Not what happened. Not the lawyers. Her grandmother. Gloria came inside. She held Diane. She did not speak. She held her for the full 20 minutes. Here is what I kept from a funeral and a locked door and a lobby at 4:59 a.m. and everything that followed. I kept Bernard. He took the case on contingency. He sent the first letter. He entered the closing statement into the record. He arrived in 18 minutes at 4 in the morning. He is Diane's godfather by designation, which is a title I created specifically for him because the existing titles were insufficient. He is also the attorney I called when the insurance company processed the $500,000 policy directly to me, as the named beneficiary, as Damon had intended. I kept Marcus. He called me from outside his mother's knowledge with information I needed at the exact moment I needed it. He was 26 years old and afraid, and he called anyway. He visits Diane every other Sunday. He holds her the way Damon used to hold things he was afraid of dropping, with the particular careful attention of a man who understands the weight. I kept the important folder. Every closing statement, every benefit letter, every HR document, every signed piece of paper from 5 years of a life built with someone. Damon had always called me obsessive about the filing. I had always told him that documentation was love made legible. He had laughed. He was right that I was obsessive. I was also right about everything the folder produced. I kept what Gloria said in the doorway. I was wrong. She said it once. She meant it. We are not what we were. But we are something, the specific something of two women who are both in love with the same person who is not here anymore and who have decided, imperfectly and slowly, to be in the same room as each other for Diane's sake. I kept Damon's forehead. On Diane's face. Where I see it every morning. I kept the 2 a.m. conversations I pretended to be asleep for. I am 29 years old. My husband died at 31 in 11 seconds. His mother locked me out on the day of his funeral. I was 5 months pregnant. Lawyers arrived 47 minutes after my daughter entered the world. Diane is here. The insurance paid. The folder held. Bernard came in 18 minutes. And Damon's forehead is on my daughter's face every single morning. That is the whole story. That is everything. If this story reached something in you, if you have ever had to fight for what someone you loved left specifically for you, I want to hear about it in the comments. What did you have to protect that was already yours? Stories like this one stay alive because people carry them forward. Share this with someone who needs it today. And if you would like more stories told honestly, the way things worth keeping deserve to be told, subscribe. We will be here. The end.